Katie.
Hi, Cheryl.
Thanks for being
Great.
on my podcast.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah, I'm so excited.
We met through the platform Saturday Night Live art shows, which is an
Yes.
amazing platform for artists. Started in 2020 by Brooke Harker during like the lockdown. I saw your beautiful spirit and all your colors, and I gravitated towards you. And we also did a collaboration, which I didn't even know. It was you who did the henna tattoo art on the young lady that I was painting, and a photographer I was working with, Kimberly. She took the photos, and then she told me who did the henna, because I was like, who did this? It's so beautiful. And
Oh,
I was like, oh,
yeah.
I know her. So it was really cool.
Well, I don't know if were you in one of the meditation groups that Brooke um started? I think it was that there might have been one in January 2019 and then one in 2020 where it was a Deepak Chopra
Yes.
online group, and it was just we
Yes.
were like 30 days together or something.
Yes, yes, I
I
did
think
that.
we might have been in that together. And
Probably.
I remember anytime I would see Brooke, she would say, "Oh my God, you're going to have to meet Cheryl and also Kimberly." Um, I always think of you, and I see Cheryl. She does these amazing body art shoots with them, and it's so the colors and the energy. It always reminds me of you. So she's been saying for years, "You guys have to get together."
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, excited to
Yeah.
collaborate in the future. We can work on something.
Yeah, yeah, she was right.
Yeah,
Um,
try.
so please share your story and journey on how you became the henna tattoo artist and fine artist you are today.
Okay, gonna work on the Cliffs Notes, the highlights. So I started drawing and painting when I was like 3 and 4, very early. And in fact, just to briefly skip ahead to the next question, you had asked me like, why am I drawn to such bright colors? And I pulled out some of my elementary school artwork
Wow.
um and like this is one that I drew. It's entirely my drawing. And I just always gravitated towards a story cover, one of my little stories. I've just always gravitated to the color. And I think, now as an adult looking back, I feel like, and like people say, why do you color your hair? And I'm like, because it makes me happy. So I think for me, and it's in particular, the rainbow spectrum of color that highlights my energy. It's just kind of how I see things, how I feel things energetically. And the lighter, brighter colors, the clearer colors palettes feel the most like a direct connection to just pure the field to divine spirit, however you want to be defining it at the moment. It's all those things. And so when I look back, um well, okay, and then skipping forward to the story, so I started young. My mom was an artist. She uses really intense colors, as she did. And she always encouraged us to try every creative thing, try music, try dancing, try, try sports, try this, try
Yeah.
everything. And so I was encouraged to make lots of art and be creative growing up. And then when I got to college, I decided I wanted to major in, I was just, major in art. But I also had been an exchange student in high school for a year in Chile and felt passionate about international relations and peace in the world. So I also wanted to keep that open. So up until my last quarter, I also was double majoring in Spanish literature to be bilingual and to just keep that open because where I was at Stanford, there was no international relations degree. And I wasn't interested in political science. So I just stayed with like the language and also literature. But by the end of that, I was knew that my passion lied with art or lay with art. And right after I graduated, I moved to New York City. And I was also in a dance group in college. And when I got to New York, I looked around for a year for like a job that where I could do my art in a job, some art related job. And ultimately, I didn't really find anything. It was a dead end. And that led to this belief that I can't make a living as an artist and just really buying fully into that belief unconsciously. But I was totally passionate about my dancing. So I just pursued dance like full time after work. So I would have day jobs and then I'd go dance 3, 4 hours a night. And I was kind of, I would say, like a semi-professional level. I did do some dance in some small theatrical dance troupes over the years and occasionally was paid for a performance. And I danced with people that had been professional or were professional. But and I thought I need to do this in my 20s while I can push my body. But
Mhm.
then by the time I got to my late 20s, the painting started to creep in. I started to stay up late at night and work on a drawing or whatever. So, and then late 20s, early 30s, I ended up doing some stage sets for a couple dance productions just with like fabric. And one of them, I painted a background for a children's nutcracker, like a giant 8 by 12 canvas with a Christmas tree, like as a backdrop for this dance performance at the Brooklyn YMCA. And so I did some large scale projects like that. And then in 1998, my sister's having her first baby, and she says, "Will you paint a Winnie the Pooh mural in, in the bedroom?" And I think that would be so wonderful. And so that was my first mural that I painted in a house, and it's still there, which I think is
Oh,
so cool. My nephews never wanted to paint over it; they still like it.
sweet.
They're both out of the house now, but and my niece is in the room, but they were like, "Yeah." We love it. Just, my sister would say, "Do you wanna?" And they still like it. So I think that's pretty
Oh,
cool.
that's sweet.
Yeah. So that got started and then I did a painting commission, a portrait, and then my brother asked me to do a mural at that time. Was like they finally bought their dream home and they wanted a vineyard mural. So I did this vineyard mural in their home. And then I also did a vineyard mural at a restaurant in New York City. It was a friend of mine owned the restaurant. And I did professional photography of the vineyard mural and made postcards and started to think, wow, this could be a thing. And then I had it all for me, it all had to happen like I didn't trust it at all. So things had to opportunities had to actually happen and materialize for me to take a next step. Um, and the uh, painting my brother's mural coincided with I had been married since to my college sweetheart, and he left our marriage, and so that coincided with the dissolving of that. So over the next couple of years, working through all that, um, I think the reason why I was able to I ended up getting started painting murals, because I kind of felt like, well, what else do I have to lose? I may as well try this thing. And I had a couple months off, house sitting, and I just called everybody I knew. This is before the internet. So I called everybody I knew and said, "Hey, I want to paint some more murals. I really enjoyed this. Do you know anybody?" And I was living in New York at the time and it started on the West Coast. So I was going back and forth. But once I got started, I was so excited about it. One mural led to the next one to the next one for
Yeah.
about 2 years. So I settled back in California and I said, I have a business painting murals. And I knew nothing about business. And then so from there, everything just unrolled. So after a couple years, the magic of the murals stopped because interior design trends changed.
Mhm.
Number one, the economy started to change. But I had learned all about color. I started doing faux finishes and like faux stone. So I did more of that. I did color consultation. One thing led to a next.
Yeah.
And then my whole intuitive side of doing readings and doing the energy work opened up because when I'd go meet with someone about a mural, I would go and I started to notice I would just say, just keep talking to me. Like even if we finished talking about the space and their ideas, I would just be in conversation with them for like an hour, hour and a half. And then I'd go home and make a watercolor sketch of my idea. And when I bring it back, they'd always say something like, "How did you know I liked this?" Or, "Oh my God, I meant to tell you that and I forgot to mention it. And here it is in the sketch. This is incredible." Like,
Wow.
and so after a year or two, I'm like, how do I know that? And it kind of led to some curiosity. And so the painting also opened up my whole intuitive side again, which I had as a small child, had scary experiences and just shut it down. So, and then everything just all grows and interconnects from there. So that's how I started, um, really as, in my own business. And it also coincided with freeing my blocks from my own painting, and all that stuff happened over the years. And then I pursued multiple things because I discovered the mural painting was seasonal in terms of income. And that's how I got started with doing the event work, doing henna.
Doing
And
henna.
then that led to face painting and the glitter tattoos, and then doing all the tarot card and all the other readings that I do, crystal readings, aura readings, and all the stuff that I do at events. Um,
Really cool.
that's how that got started, was a side job to my painting business that was had an opposite schedule that was artistically interesting.
So you're proof that as an artist, you can do so many different things to make an income. You don't have to put your eggs in one basket and rely on like just selling commission work or, selling your paintings.
Yes.
There's so many ways. And I feel like many artists are very intuitive and they pick up on things energetically and they just can read people and their environment.
Yeah.
So you noticed that and you were aware, which I think a lot of people don't aware are not that aware of like the powers they have and creatives, what they have
Yes.
inside themselves. They kind of repress it or don't trust it, which is something I used to do and just put it aside.
It's totally a journey, I think, to fully embrace it, to trust it, and then find how it all works best for you. And it's also, in my experience, constantly evolving and changing, and which adds another level of sort of challenge to if you're financially supporting yourself with your creative work. The fact that your creative work is also its own creative journey and it's going to evolve and change is also challenging.
Yes.
Because if
And
you don't allow for that, you become stagnant and things stop working. And then you're like, oh my God.
right, right. Where you think that that one thing that worked for you for so long, like you doing the murals, like if you just say, okay, well, that didn't work out, I give up, you that's not going to work, to go with time and the changes that happens in the world, you have to be flexible and fluid, especially with your art and not be so rigid in how things are. So
Yeah.
I totally get that.
I
Yeah.
did last year, I did 3 murals though. And it felt like a very full circle moment.
Nice.
25 years later, here we are doing murals.
Wow.
And I love doing them. But I'm also really, in the beginning, I just took anything, which was great for training myself as an artist. I'd never painted really many landscapes. I'd never, so learned how to paint faux stone and all those things. Um, so now I realize it's all in the intention of what we're creating. And so then the mural projects that I did, um, there was a component of the person, whoever I was working with, that was a very special relationship. And there was a lot of meaning behind completing the work for the space or for that company or those people, or that friend. And I think in general, it's how do I get out of my way? Let me keep trying to get to the back of the room and let everything orchestrate itself. And so that's how the murals came back. So I can just say I have the excitement and the intention. Wow, if some aligned mural projects came my way, I'm really interested. And then, that part of our brain that searches for things, that sees everything, starts to look for mural projects, that from our end energetically. And
Yes.
then you do your work and you build your portfolio, make yourself known and so forth. You do all the groundwork, right? And then the opportunities start to align. So now I can like relax, like, oh, and for a long time I felt like that work is so good and now no one's seeing it. And I should this, I should that. And as soon as I just let it all go and kind of sat with it, that's when the mural work came back. So.
Yeah. I remember when I was in Miami with my family, we went on a Wynwood tour and saw the beautiful murals there. And I was looking at them and I was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I could do that one day and, paint on a wall and have it be something meaningful. And then exactly like maybe 8 months later, I was asked to do a mural on Melrose for Women Life Freedom. And it's something that I'm really connected to because I have an Iranian background. So it was meaningful and it was something I wanted to do. So um, and I didn't really put much more thought into it. It I just let it go. Like I put it out there and I let it go and it happened. But then another thing is like you were talking about how you wanted to do murals and then you started calling and asking people whether they knew anyone that would be interested. And that's another thing is there are times where you do take action and then you let it go. Because it's not always like, oh, I just put it out there and just wait, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, I've built up evidence for myself over all these years that um I do continually experience, not necessarily daily, but that at the energetic alignment of where, and it's not like if I have a big alignment, a breakthrough in one area, I'll look at my phone and there'll be some event work for me, or like the creative juice will flow uh in non-linear ways.
Yes.
So, but I do experience that where like it's, and especially with our phones, like the magic computer in my pocket, all of a sudden, ding, there's somebody reaching out to me for something, and I'm like, whoa. Then it'll
Yeah.
be in response to usually some sort of feeling of breakthrough or just amazing excitement about something. Um, and that seemed there's some sort of nonlinear connection there, definitely. I mean, I as an experiment, I pay attention to that over the years to learn and trust the whole energy thing, and there's definitely a connection.
Oh, I believe that.
Yeah.
I have experienced it many, many times myself. And sometimes it's like, wow. And someone's like, oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So I get it. Have you ever had any limiting thoughts or beliefs on becoming an artist?
Oh my God. As a as like a teenager, from teenager through um into my 30s and after I started my business, I was the totally blocked artist. Like I would sit there and sometimes I'd just close my eyes and move a pencil on the page. And sometimes that would make drawings of things that were kind of foretold things, or were turned out to be kind of scary. Um, because just closing my eyes drawing, I would create something that was recognizable, which is like, wow. But I was completely blocked by my brain on allowing myself to be in front of a canvas and paint whatever I wanted. I didn't like whatever I painted, and I didn't have, and then over the years, flip that. And now over the last like 10, 15 years, I started to get a flow of information, a flow of visions and ideas. And then I have like right now 4 or 5 themes of work that are coming together now into like the styles are starting to merge finally. Which because it was kind of confusing for me to be like, okay, here's this thing, here's that thing. And then you hear about, as an artist and sharing your work, you want to have a body of work, you want to be recognizable. And I know be like you have that, right? And when you see it, you know what people are talking about, but looking at your own work, it's been sometimes hard to see the connections besides palette or energy. It's totally blocked. And then now I have like an abundance of visions,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, where do I start first? I have so much unfinished work, and it's kind of confusing from one to the other. Yeah,
I
so
can
there was,
relate.
yes, right? So the initial blocks were, I suck, I'm terrible, I want to paint, but I don't like what I'm making. And then it was, and yeah, there's no way I can make a living as an artist because I tried this, and I tried this when I was 22, and I tried this when I was 23, and I tried to get that job, and I tried, and it was, no, I can't do it. And then once I just did it, and from a place where none of that could reach me for a while, then I did it, and I proved to myself. And I had to get the physical evidence in my body. I think my journey's been like embodiment, and you need to be embodied to bring your creations into the world to share with people in a more effective way. So once I actually just started doing the thing because it unfolded itself and I just followed the path, then all of a sudden I was like, God, all these years I was thinking it's impossible to make a living as an artist. Like I realized the belief retrospectively,
Yes.
and then I, keep unwinding it. And now my belief is the ones I run into are like, you've got so much going on, you're crazy, no one's going to understand you, like you're a mess, kind of this idea. And no, people actually really get me.
Yeah.
So it's all me just trying to get out of my way, like I'll say over and over. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm always going through that process myself. And people ask me, like, how do you come up with these ideas? And I say, I don't know. The best way I can describe it is like we're like these antennas. And the more we, I don't know, keep using those antennas and keep practicing and doing our art and our craft, those antennas open up more and more, and you're able to collect more information from source or wherever. And the ideas just keep coming, and you see something, you get inspired, or you feel something, and then you start to make it. Where if you don't do anything, and you don't, even the things that you might not like, there's so many things that I've created. It's like, what is that? Or I look back on them like, oh, but you have to create those bad pieces in order to get to the better pieces, in order to get to the greater pieces, and make those mistakes. It's okay. Like, it's okay to make those mistakes and not be so great. And you get there eventually. It's a process.
Yeah, it's inevitable. And then also we just outgrow our work. Like right now I'm going through a
Mhm.
phase where I have a lot of my older paintings. Some of them are, like 15 years old, hanging up around the house. And I enjoy looking at them, but now that I've been living with them hanging up on the wall instead of being stuffed away in a closet or whatever, I they don't feel as alive to me as what's happening right here in my studio room.
Mhm.
So that I'm also wanting to declutter and have, instead of be looking at all the ideas in progress all the time, have a more clean slate. That's what I'm desiring now, a fresher, some blank walls. I did an event at a home on Saturday and they had no art on any of the walls in all
Wow.
the main living areas anyways. Bright white wood floors, and it was beautifully done. And it felt warm and cozy and lived in, even though it was this minimalist type environment. And was like just walking through the house and then walking to the restroom and walking back through, just, brief experience of it. It's like, wow, this feels refreshing. But I wouldn't, without experience that somewhere else, I wouldn't choose that. I'd
Yeah.
like, I want to keep everything close and we're in the works. That's kind of my normal thing. So it's always good to experience something else to give yourself perspective.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Um, any words of wisdom for our creative spirits?
The main thing is stay in your excitement about what you're creating, stay in excitement around what your values are and how you make connections in the world. Because then when we're excited about things, we sort of fill our energy engine. It's a natural self-filling. And when we're excited about things, even if we're not sharing or even telling a single soul about them, that energy is magnetic to other people. Other people say, wow, what are you up to? Other people notice, they feel it too. And it's really uplifting for other people, even if you're just in a creative dormancy stage and you're just letting things bubble around, people will still, usually at least they're like, wow, well, it's just so cool to see, you're inspired by something, or even if there's no result or something for them to view, people definitely pick up on the energy. So
Yes.
stay excited about things. And then as a joke, I wrote, uh, there's also time to get the reason why I think it needs to be excitement about our values and also our targets and goals is because it's not just about staying excited about, like for me, like all my painting work all the time and never doing anything else.
Yes.
So as I build the excitement into my life, I'm finding I'm actually being more productive on my targets for things and then getting to things that are boring, like chores around the house or my bookkeeping or whatever. I get to them now because with more of an excitement, at least some of the time, because I'm like, this is helping me go to this long-term vision that I have. And you start to connect all the dots and you're connecting forward too. So the excitement benefits in a lot of ways, even though it's sort of an abstract way of being in a sense.
Yeah,
But
I
I
love
feel
that.
like it's the main thing.
It's
That,
beautiful.
yeah.
And did you tell us about also any, I know you were talking about your energy healing work, like any interesting stories you have on that, like about your intuitive um, readings or,
I so along the lines of words of wisdom and like trust yourself and trust ourselves, and then letting the so my journey with my energy work, my intuitive work is and I realized once I became sort of tuned in, became aware, I've always seen this since I was a kid. I just didn't know what it was. I thought everybody saw that, right?
yeah.
Just I see like colors and patterns and just in the air, so to speak, kind of out here, like it's hard to describe. Um, and that's part of my, I'm also clairaudient, clairvoyant, clairsentient. I have a lot of the clairs. Um, and so experiencing all those things and really being aware through my experiences of things actually builds the trust muscles and builds the
Mhm.
ability to um create opportunities to have like miracles. So I've had countless sort of like big energy jumps in doing the work for myself. Like I started out in 2001 with EFT tapping, which is kind of a big thing,
Yes.
but then it was still pretty um, alternative. And but I had done talk therapy after my divorce, and then I started to realize after a couple years, I'm just a talking head, and all my energy's coming from here, and blah blah blah. And so because of the reactions of experience in the talk therapy, I realized I wasn't completely in my body. That's how I started to get that awareness. So I started to look for alternative methods to connect my body. And the tapping was the first one that really hit where, because you're
Mm.
tapping on these energy endpoints. And I've done that all this time. And I've had, like I've cured UTIs, I've, experienced miracles like being for example, really sick for a week when you're self-employed, and then you're not having income and getting to the end of the month and, going, I wonder what's going to happen this month. And those times when I'm just month to month, and then experiencing an infusion of money through just staying open in my energy and opening, creating those energetic alignments. Something has come in,
Wow.
like I've been sort of saved, so to speak. Not every single time, but it's happened enough times. And then Um, I think the most recent delightful story for me was I read at a company event in December, and the last time I had done readings for this company was like 4 or 5 years ago. And a woman sat down, and after a minute, she said, "I think you've given me a reading before." And then we talked back, and we realized it was like July of 2019. And she said, I am still working with a lot of the things that you mentioned in that reading. I'm still working with
Wow.
and we're and
That's
this is and I've
amazing.
come so far with all these things. And then we had new insights that day with the new reading, and she was like, I'm so excited because this is all going to connect together, and I know it's given her like a direction to take her life and where to put her energy, and in particular how she feels and living her life and her physical health and things like that. And so that's just like,
Such a wonderful
hey, I'm
feeling.
all in. I
Yeah.
mean, that's like the biggest honor is that you can really make a difference in someone else's life on that
Yeah.
level. It's
Absolutely. So where can people find you in your work or to get a maybe do a henna tattoo with you, get a piece of art or healing session? I mean, you offer so much and I just love that.
Yeah. So in terms of social media, I'm mainly on Instagram. That's my jam. I have a Facebook business page, Katy DeBra, Artist Intuitive, and I have a personal page under Katy DeBra, but I just have not feeling the Facebook the last couple years. I really am on Instagram with
On
creation, not
Instagram.
sharing it to Facebook. And I have a lot of friends on Facebook, so hi, Facebook friends. But I can only, I struggle with maintaining social media stuff. That's, a bit of a struggle. It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. It's
Yeah.
okay. You're doing good.
And I have a website, katydebray.com. And I'm on Yelp, and I'm on Google, and I offer event work. So body art, face painting, henna, glitter tattoos, and all types of intuitive readings at events. I offer body art privately. I offer, which is usually henna or jagua. I offer intuitive readings over Zoom. Also, I have a spa in Simi Valley where I have a room to do in-person appointments. It's a gorgeous place. That's where I painted the
Nice.
amethyst mural. So there's a room that's like you're inside an amethyst geode as you're in there. And I also do Reiki and include sound healing with that. And yeah, of course, commissions, different soul portraits, murals. Yeah, so
I love that.
all the offerings. Yeah, those are probably the high points right now.
And we'll
Yeah.
put that all in the show notes too. And
Yeah.
thank you for being here with me today. It was so lovely and so nice chatting with you and getting to know you better.
Yes, I look forward to more of that, Cheryl. Thank you so much for having me on, and I'm excited to connect with you.
Thank you.